streaming live on Facebook. And what I must also do, I'm going to record it as well.
Continue.
We're there. Right. I think we're happening. We're live. So now we want to just wait for a couple of people. I wonder if anybody's going to join us. Should we have a chat whilst we wait? You've done this quite a bit, haven't you?
I have. Yeah. How are you doing? Tell me how you are. It's been like forever. You've written a book.
I had my COVID jab today, so I'm just feeling a little bit, I'm not sure. I'm okay, but I'm just potentially a bit achy. How are you?
I'm great. I had my COVID jab about a month ago and I was great for about 3 days. And then I just felt like I'd been hit by a lorry. Boom, and I was like, oh no, I thought I could get away with it. But I think there was a combination of like girly things going on, like hormones and, you know, being a bit anemic and all those things. So in the mix of it all, I can't just blame the jab, but I'd like to blame it for about 3 weeks.
This afternoon I had a bit of a nap and I had a bit of a headache, but that wasn't to do with the jab. That was just me. So let's just set the scene for anyone that is joining us. I'm in Adelaide, as most are streaming on my Facebook. So I think most people know that I'm actually in McLaren Vale, which is about an hour south of Adelaide. And Aneesa, where are you in the world?
I'm in sunny Brighton in England. And
in England.
Yeah, it's not always sunny in Brighton, but it's beautiful by the sea.
And it's a nice hot day today, isn't it? You've had some hot weather.
We've been really lucky here the last couple of days.
Yeah, I've heard everybody on my Facebook feed was going to the beach.
Yeah, I know. I have to avoid it. No, I was doing a voice workshop outside yesterday. It was lovely because I do like singing workshops, as you know, and it's great because everyone just arrives and I say, bring a camping chair if you want to sit down and bring something to eat and drink. So we'll socialise a little bit at distance afterwards. And I get my little bunting and tape measure out and make sure that everyone's.
So you've kind of adapted. Oh my goodness, you're still in the midst, aren't you? Because you do so much work with choirs, and amazing. I was actually watching your videos earlier on your website, and we'll put the link in the comments for all that. But you're so like out there with groups of people singing, and you're still not allowed to get together. Is that right? As choirs in the UK?
So back in March last year, when COVID struck, we went into lockdown and we were no longer allowed to meet together in groups, as lots of people around the world weren't either. And from March till December, I was really inspired to try and keep everyone together and run Zoom rehearsals. And I did it with all my heart, and it was brilliant because I run 5 choirs for charities and organizations, and it's been amazing keeping everyone together. But I had this kind of moment where I took stock, because I think a lot of people did over COVID. I think a lot of people asked themselves, am I doing what I want in life? Am I leading the life I want? And I didn't really have time to do that because I was busy like getting people to feel good and feel connected.
You're giving it all out.
Record themselves singing, empower them to get to a place where they could record themselves singing, send me back versions of themselves singing different voice parts, which I had to record. So it was like 80 odd people or so per, different groups, sizes, and make a song just out of all these people who are in different places all over the city or country, and make a virtual concert. So I did that for December, but after December I thought, I'm not living the meaningful life I want to. And that was a really, really hard realization, because I love making a difference and making people happy. And doing this work this way for a year brought me to a point where I thought, I'm not enjoying it as much now. I'm offering a little bit of a false promise, and that doesn't feel good, because calling things a virtual choir and things like that, it's just words, because in reality you cannot sing simultaneously together without there being an issue of latency, which means that when you sing, if I sing at the same time as you now, the words will come out at different times. Now, there is technology today that's moved things forward, so there are places in the world where you can do it, but it comes at a cost. And when you're working with charities and people who don't have huge financial means, is not necessarily the highest priority. So I decided to sort of take stock, and in January I wrote to all of my groups and said, let's not get back together at the very beginning of January. Let's take a couple of weeks off, because I want to think about what I'm doing, how I serve the world, and how I can continue giving you what you want, but also do something that's meaningful for me. Because, you know, you don't know when you're going to go, do you? So you want to enjoy your life and really make the most of it. So I thought about the work that I'd been doing for corporate organizations where I'd gone in and, I get called in as an associate and I coach chief executives and managing directors all the way down, all the way through the organization, shouldn't say down, all the way through the organization to all staff and help them build confidence. Yes. Well, across, we're all the same, we're just in different roles, aren't we? Playing our part. So, I go in and I help those people build confidence with their public speaking, their communication skills, and basically get from a place of where they are to a much improved place. And that's something I've been doing in the background for 25 years, but just not raved on about it because I've loved doing it. But it's been something that you don't promote, say on Facebook or something, like you might like a concert, because it's internal. So everything is behind that door and, you know, respectfully so. And I felt, you know what, I trained as a barrister, I'm a performer on stage, I know how to bring out the best in people, I love doing that. And I'd like to do some of that work that happens behind those closed doors much more in the community and with entrepreneurs and people in business who are setting themselves up. Or maybe there's a mum, I mean, I've talked to loads and loads of mums who have talked about wanting to get their mojo back since having kids, and their kids have flown the nest and they want to be able to get out and just kick some ass in life and in business as well. So it's been really lovely getting to know a different kind of clientele, really.
And I must comment on your journey. I remember watching from afar. The UK, I felt, in December and January and February went into a dark place because you were all in mid-winter, weren't you? It's dark, it's grey, it's gloomy, it's raining. Everybody was in whatever number lockdown that you were in. Cases were just going sky high. And I remember seeing you dip energy-wise, and we don't talk a lot like this, but we, on Facebook and stuff, and see what each other are doing. And you have always been like, you are literally the sunshine to me. You really are. When we last caught up in Brighton, when we were there, and you appeared, and my daughters were just like, oh, who is this amazing woman? You're so full of energy. And I remember seeing that kind of dip, and it wasn't you alone, it was the whole country, I reckon. Everybody I knew on Facebook went into that dip in the UK. And then it's so lovely to see like you've emerged like with this offering. And I love it because it's what you've always been doing, is that building confidence in people. But you're kind of really, I don't know, you've broadened your offering a bit, I guess. And then you're offering like an online training course, which is what we're going to talk about today, or a bit about public speaking. So congratulations on kind of coming out of it, and maybe you're still in it, I don't know, you're probably still kind of, but it's amazing to watch.
Thank you. No, it's been a really lovely journey, and in some ways I knew all along when I paused in January that the answer was staring me in the face, but it just took me 2 to 3 weeks to work out what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. Because there's something about the synergy of meeting people face to face, which I love. And what I noticed when I was thinking, do I want to deliver a course? Do I want to just do, I don't know, webinars where I talk to people? I'm the sort of person that loves engaging with people. I can get a lot more out of someone and help them really step into their own if I'm looking them in the eye and talking to them like heart to heart, honestly about how they can improve, than if I'm just talking, doing a webinar to a nebulous number of people. So I can do it, but I like working with people and seeing the change and saying to them, you know what, you can do better. Let's look at how we can tweak your performance right now. So, and I say performance because when you think about presenting, even online, it is a performance, because you are putting yourself out to say, I'm offering my best right now to you. I'm asking you to listen to me and give me your time. So if you're doing that, you can't just pitch up online and just, I don't know, not take it seriously. I think you have to think really carefully about everything that you prepare in order that your performance is great, but you feel great. And that's one of the things that I love working with people around, which is things like fear and anxiety and nerves, and getting them from a place of I can do this to I can do it, and I'm loving it.
So I ran a bit of training last year around facilitating online conversations. So it wasn't so much the presenting, but it was how you facilitate. And we talked quite a lot in that training about that energy. And I was reminding people, just because we're online, don't think that you can be facilitating several meetings in one day, or I guess presenting. Like, the amount of energy that you have to put in, even though you're just presenting to this screen and you're not even sometimes seeing anybody or even knowing that they're there, you're presenting. Like, the energy that you have to give to, it was a big shift for everybody in going into that online world. But can we talk a bit about, because I know you said to me, or Becky, you do a fair bit of presenting, let's talk about public speaking, because I love public speaking. I really do. And I've written my book, just right here, For the Love of Community Engagement. Any opportunities, give it a mention. Honestly, my family is sick of me, I think. For the Love of Community Engagement. I wrote a book. I say it to it's just constant. I wrote a book. Yeah. I even actually had to send one off to somebody in the post office the other day down the road in McLaren Vale. And I was like, how much does this weigh? I wrote a book. It's a book in there. The people behind the counter are like, and Aneesa, you are in that book. I don't know what page. You're in the London chapter, and in fact, you would know the cover. I tell lots of people about this cover. Do you reckon? I don't know if you'd recognise it. It is. No, you can't get. You haven't got your. So it's the Trellick Tower in London. You know, when we worked together at Chelsea, and it's the most. I just love it because it's kind of just this massive residential tower, not surrounded by any other residential towers. And I used to walk past that and just be fascinated by all the little balconies and all the different people that lived in it. And like, do the people know the people upstairs? Do they know the people downstairs? Do they like lean over their balconies? Do they go on their balconies? Like, do they feel isolated, or do they feel really connected? Do they put like little notes in the lift to each other? I'm just fascinated by this as a community. So it ended up on my cover. Anyway. That
reminds me of Zoom. You know, in a Zoom gallery, gallery, you have all the different people in different places, and they all come together from different places in the world. That is very similar.
It is, isn't it? I like that. Perhaps that's my next book. For the Love of Engaging Online, like with all the people.
Yes. Sorry, I interrupted.
Is anybody watching us, by the way? Have we got anyone? Don't know if anybody.
Yeah, often people don't watch straight away, but if they watch later, you can ask them to put in #replay, and then it's really good for the algorithms on Facebook. So yeah, just you don't worry about if people are watching or not, because they will at some point.
Oh, I always worry about whether people are watching, Aneesa. Hang on, I've got it on my laptop here.
That's something that really affects
people. People watching. Who are you? Max Hardy. Max Hardy. Right, let's talk, because Max Hardy's involved in this. I had a look. So let's talk about public speaking. So because I wrote this book, I've suddenly, and I want to go more in this direction of doing more speaking and, like, I can call it preaching my message to the world about engaging communities. And so I've got all these different speaking gigs booked, and I've got a few, like, there's all sorts of types of speaking gigs. I'm starting to realize, like, a lot of what I've done in the past is where you turn up at a conference and you present with some slides and you talk through your slides and you give an example. So that's one kind. Then you have your keynote presentations, which is what I'm getting more and more of, which is brilliant. And I love that. And that's where I'm kind of going in with that bigger kind of messaging, that kind of, is that next level up of inspiration. And I always joke saying, like, it needs to be something more profound, you know, leave people with a bit of like, ooh. But equally, I'm a very practical person, so I can't help but give people practical tips and ideas and inspiration. And then there's things like, because I'm an author. Did I mention I'm an author? I'm doing a lot of things with people where I say, like a meet the author event, where I'm speaking about my book, but they actually more interview me. So, and I'm really comfortable with that because I'm very much into conversation and chat and bouncing off each other. So I'm doing that kind of thing. But I thought I'd tell you my biggest fear. Now, Max, if he's watching, that's lovely that he said amazing. Hello, Max, because Max is probably one of the only people I know that has done a TED talk. And oh my goodness, I would love to do a TED talk. And I think it's on my bucket list because I love the idea. I just want to be like that person up on the stage, like looking amazing, because it's all about how you look. No, it's not really, not me. See, I've probably gone wrong already. You know, like, you look amazing. You're in some nice heeled boots. You got your great jeans on. You got a nice jacket. Your hair's all great. You've had your makeup, all that. You're on that TED looking stage, like boom. And then you deliver this amazing, like profound speech. So I'd love to do that. And I could so do it on so many topics. But it is my biggest fear. My biggest fear is doing that. And I don't know why. Why is there a block between everything that I already do, and I'm so full of confidence. And yet that idea of putting myself, I think probably, I'm assuming it's because I've made it bigger than it is in my head. I kind of need to just do it. So the TED Talk, and I know Max is doing something as part of your course, I think, talking to people, and he's done a brilliant TED Talk, and he's been that person, not in the heeled boots, but in the smart looking, looking like, wow, Max, go, and he's delivered something profound and brilliant. So yeah, like how do I do it, Aneesa?
Wow, I love you so much. So first of all, let me just say, TED is an incredible organization, and the idea behind TED Talks is to bring an amazing idea that will benefit the world.
Okay.
And that's a beautiful thing to think about. If you just take that concept to start with, that you are bringing an idea that's going to benefit the world. Okay, so way after you've got, someone might go online and watch that TED Talk, and it would still be relevant to them in the future. So some amazing TED Talks happened years ago. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing,
I'm recording it so I can watch it back. I feel like I need to write that down, because already that has like, yeah, okay. You see, you've calmed me down already. Okay.
The second thing is, now brace yourself. What I'm going to say is going to. No, is you got to think about your ego for a second. So just get ready to stroke your ego a little bit and like look after it. Okay. So the second thing is, the TED Talk is not about you.
Oh!
I know. I had to, when I go on stage and present and I think, oh yeah, I'm feeling great and all of those things, I have to remember, what's my purpose here? So that's not to say that you are not meant to shine. Of course you're meant to shine. And that's one of the things about presenting. But
now that's such a good tip. And my mentor and friend Wendy Sarkisian, who wrote the foreword to my book, she's an incredibly experienced author and planner and community engagement person, everything. And she keeps telling me off, and I know, and because it's my thing, that I'm so I'm fun and I'm out there and I'm upbeat, and all of that kind of plays down the depth that I've got going on in here. And part of me writing a book was to actually say, all right, I'm lively, I'm energetic, I'm bubbly, but equally I'm incredible, and I'm saying this about myself, I'm incredibly intelligent and I've got all these ideas. Yeah. And so that's another really good tip.
Yeah, but you know what? Just to tag on to that and move us forwards, we are very similar in that, and that's one of the reasons that I think we have such mutual admiration for one another, is that we love what we do, and we are intelligent women, we're bloody good at what we do, and we know how to do it in a fun way. We want people to have fun with us. Okay.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that we get on well because we used to go shopping. Do you remember how we used to go shopping in Kensington High Street? How dangerous was it when we used to work just off Kensington High Street in epically brilliant jobs?
But listen, let me third point, right? The third point is, if we park TED for a moment, in yourself, you already have everything that it takes to make a difference to people's lives. So whilst doing a TED Talk is a beautiful thing to do, it's one platform. So there are Toastmasters International platforms, there are local speakers platforms. But if you, just from the things that you've reeled off just now about what you have in your diary coming up, think about the amount of lives you're touching and moving and inspiring simply by being present and delivering your message effectively. And so that brings me to the bit about being fun and intelligent. I think we both really believe it is possible to do both at the same time, to be fun and also impart a really important message to people at the same time. And you do it brilliantly already. So one of the things that you talked about there was fear and anxiety and nerves, all of that kind of thing. And that is what I would say is part of the training process.
Yeah. So, and already so one of the reasons why we're doing this, not just because we like having a chat, but you're running this online training to help people exactly like me. And I said, well, both said, let's do this on Facebook so that all of my friends can see it. Because I know so many amazing professional men and women who do a lot of this speaking. And I know that I would have a lot of Facebook friends who, and anyway, all the people that follow me, but people that have to present in their work. in their day-to-day lives, even if it's in their community, in their spare time. Yes. And speaking of that, I just mentioned to you very briefly before we went live that I don't tend to get nervous. I would if it was a TED talk, although you've calmed me down a bit there, which is quite good. I don't tend to get nervous. I get a nervous kind of like an anxiety as I'm planning something, but I know that that's part of me just making something good. Whenever I deliver a piece of work, I'm the same even if I'm in the office writing a report. I get nervous about it until I've done it, but those nerves are there to help me. They're to help me do the best possible job. So I don't tend to get nervous when I'm speaking in front of a crowd. I actually turn into like a positive energy. I do that whole, what's his name? Simon Sinek, is that how you say his name? He talks about flipping the nervous energy to be like excitement. Rather than saying, oh, isn't this turbulence on the aeroplane terrible? He says like, oh, isn't this exciting? And it totally changes the way you think. And so I'm good at that. However, I was recently at a meeting in my own community. There was this threat of this awful chemical PFAS, horrible thing being dumped and stored in this beautiful area that we live in. And of course, nobody wants that near anybody's house, especially when we live in Australia. Like there's so much space we could put it if we had to. We don't have to put it right in the middle of a premium food and wine region with all these people living around. So anyway, thankfully it didn't get approved, but I spoke at the public meeting. It was a big public meeting, about 300 people, and I wasn't involved in it in any way professionally. So I went along with my daughter, and I've written about this in the book actually. And there was all just like the old men going up and speaking at the microphone. And I am a former engineer, and I think, and they were all really valid points, but it was just all the old men. And I've got Elsie sitting next to me, age 9. And I thought, I can't let her think that it's just the old men that get up. Mummy needs to get up and say something. So I was like, right, I'm going to get up. And as I queued up at that microphone and I said my bit, I spoke so passionately, obviously from the heart. I said something about, we're not NIMBYs, we're not in my backyards, we're kind of not in anybody's backyards. And I said something, but I remember shaking as I spoke, and my legs were shaking. And so I think this kind of like public speaking in my world is not just the professionals public speaking, but it's about community members having the confidence to stand up and say stuff they're passionate about without like having that, and I had to do it because Elsie was watching. I don't think I would have done it otherwise. So have you got any tips on nerves? Like how do you deal with passion? And I know you've done some stuff where you've spoken about personal things, and how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I'm a really passionate person, you're a really passionate person, but there's something about when we're speaking from the heart, which you should do, that bag of nerves just consume you, and you just think, I know what I want to do, but how am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? And so one of the things that I do on the course is give people the opportunity to address nerves, anxiety, and fear. Did you know that people are more scared of public speaking than they are of dying? There's a statistic. The number of people that are scared of that is massively high. It's so high. You just think they're more scared of getting on a stage and speaking in public. It's called glossophobia. And, you just think, so if there is something that massive, why don't people address it in the same way that they do other things they want to work on with themselves in terms of self-development? So, you're happy to go to a gig for a night out and spend 15 quid, or go for a spa weekend away and spend a couple of $100, but you're not happy to invest in yourself to bring you to a place of confidence, so that when you walk out and do those sorts of impassioned talks, that you can do them brilliantly and enjoy them as well. And that's what I'm all about. It's like, you don't want to get on stage and think, I got through it. You want to get on stage and enjoy the moment. You want to be in control of everything that happens. Yeah. So the first thing that I always get people to think about is around mindset. So thoughts, feelings, and emotions, it's all the stuff that's going on in your head. If you don't believe that you can do something, the chances are you won't do it. Or you'll do it, but you won't be brilliant at it. Right? So that in itself means you're probably not going to enjoy it. So there's a whole section at the beginning of the course where we talk about mindset and say, what are the thoughts that are running through your head right now when you visualize yourself walking up to the steps before you go on stage? How are you going to manage those thoughts? How are you going to turn that fear into excitement? Because, scientists find it hard to distinguish between fear and excitement. If I said to you right now, are you feeling fear or are you excited? And the thing then is to take the energy that you're kind of emitting everywhere and that is consuming you, and channel it from, oh my God, I can't, into, I'm doing it, I can, I'm doing it. and feeling like totally amazing. But you need to know how to manage and control your emotions, your thoughts, and your breath. So let's do a little exercise really quickly, okay?
Oh,
If
okay.
I said to you, when you're nervous, where do you think you breathe? Where do you think your breath goes to in your body when you're nervous?
Here, like, I don't know. Yeah, there.
You touch the right place. So it's shallow breathing. It's really shallow. You're kind of. But if you've taken control of your breath, everything slows down. Okay, right. So just take me a big breath in, and put your hand up when you finish taking that breath in. Right, ready, go.
Oh, I did it. Hang on. I'm just checking. We've still got 2. Oh, we got Maxwell. Oh, and Emma is watching. That's my hairdresser. How's the hair, Emma? Right. Sorry. Back to the breath. Right.
That's right. So just taking like a breath, because I'm asking you to take a breath. Okay. So 3, 2, 1, go. You've taken your breath in. All right. So that's got to be the fastest on record. Like, 1 second, she went. But you know what? When you're in the flow of something, it can be that quick. Right, now do this. Right. Imagine you've got a cocktail straw in your teeth. Now, you know I don't drink, but I do like a good drink.
How did you I? Did you know this?
No, I've been watching. So, small cocktail straw, not a McDonald's straw. Cocktail straw, thin, small.
A little one. Okay.
Okay, so watch my lips, and it's got to be quite audible. And the aim is going to be to breathe in and down into your stomach, your diaphragm area, and expand that. Now, as dancers and singers and people who want to look good, we don't want to walk around with our belly flopping out, but for the purposes of this exercise in your body and equip you, you're going to do that. Okay, so it's going to go like this.
As a former trained dancer, you see, I find that whole concept of letting your stomach go out, like,
doesn't mean you have to keep it out. Okay, so you're going to go.
Okay.
Okay, and then you're going to let the air out. Okay, so do it with me. Purse your lips.
Yeah.
Ready? Go. And now out. Okay, do it without me. Do it without me. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Put your hand up when you finish. You got to about 9. So
I'm breathing here though. I struggle to breathe to my stomach.
Yeah. Because we're not used to it. It's like breathing for performing. When I say performing, whether it's singing or presenting, speaking, requires some conscious effort. So there's an exercise that I get everyone to do, which requires you to lie down like you're on a bed. You can all do it before you go to bed tonight. Just put your hands on your stomach.
Yeah.
Try and relax. Do a lovely visualization, perhaps, where you're visualizing yourself maybe walking down to the beach or into nature, and just visualize. So there's a dissociation between where your hands are and what's going on in your imagination. And then at some point, bring your awareness to your hands and tell me what you notice. Write it in the comments and let me know. You have to do it before.
You're telling me to do that now.
I can actually do this exercise with you another time. I can jump on and we can do it fully, but I know you've only got about half an hour, so I won't do it fully. But it's a really lovely exercise, because what it does is it brings you an awareness of actually how your body works. So if you think of your body as an instrument, if it was a bagpipe, let's say, what would be happening if air is going into it? It expands.
We'll be getting ready, and getting ready to do it.
And back out. Or a balloon. Pouring water into a balloon, it would
even just you slowing me down there and getting me to breathe, because obviously here as well I'm like excited to see you and live and getting all excited that Emma's on, and Max Mason and Max Hardy, my 2 favorite Maxes. But you know Max Mason, don't you?
I did a gig in Oxford some years ago, I think.
How small is the world? Like,
over, we all have to have drink.
So I'm all excited, but actually the feeling of breathing, even there must be, I guess I'm getting more oxygen into my body, because I actually feel really quite good just from those deep breaths that you were making me do.
Yeah, and the key thing about breath control, I call it the gift of breath. There are lots of exercises that I do with people around breathing and calming your body down for fear and anxiety. The key thing is that it puts you back in control of your body and your thoughts. So you're slowing everything down, and what started as nervous energy becomes a much more grounded, stronger outlet than it was a few minutes ago. So when you're talking about getting up in that public meeting, you know, people's limbs shake. I've seen, you know, I've experienced it myself. I had my microphone in my hand, my hand's been shaking, and there are, you know, you can do some simple exercises and techniques. Just for example, when you're in that queue, before you've even got the microphone in your hand, if you take your finger and your thumb and you just pinch your nail into your finger there's a dissociation. So it shouldn't hurt, but it's just, you can feel it. You're present to the feeling of that pinch. And what's happening up here, suddenly that becomes secondary. And what's happening here is more relevant.
I do that when I go to the dentist. Yeah, it's a similar thing. It's just that distraction. Or again, turbulence on the plane. I always say the best thing if you're a bit scared of turbulence is not to do the Simon Sinek and do the SWIP. Hold a hot cup of coffee whilst there's the turbulence, and your mind soon focuses on trying not to spill the coffee. And you forget about being up in the sky. You're just like, oh my God, there's coffee.
I'm sick and I'm not spilling a hot coffee on me. So yeah. But again, it's breathing. There are exercises, and some of it's based in things like Tai Chi and yoga. I mean, where you can breathe, and actually when you're cold as well, this can help too. If you breathe in, say to the count of 4, like breathing in 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, and then exhale for double 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and things like that warm you up, but it slows everything down as well. So one of the things I'm looking forward to doing on the course is bringing in some guest experts, and one of them is watching right now.
Yes. So Max is there.
And the aim is, as much as I'm really knowledgeable and skilled, I think it's really important to share knowledge, and we collaborate, we help one another out. And so Max is one of those people, and there are experts who have done TED Talks, people who are TED organisers. So anyone coming onto the course will have a chance to speak to someone firsthand and say, what are TED organisers looking for? We've got a lovely woman called Christina from Victoria in Spain. She's an organizer out there. We've got a lovely chap called Toby who runs TEDx in Brighton, another Sam Orens who runs TEDx in Soho. Got Rebecca Ingram, she'll be talking to us about chakras and how the throat chakra and other chakras in the body how it all comes together when we're talking about nerves and channeling that into sort of positive performance. So there are lots of different speakers who are going to be coming along as well. So if you take part in the course, then it's a really lovely way to really broaden your knowledge, and it's over a 12-week period as well. So it's not. Shall I just tell you about the course really quickly? So it's over a 12-week period. The course starts on the 7th of July, so about 3 weeks away. The early bird finishes today, actually. The early bird is £997 British pounds.
English time, so that does give people in Australia. Oh, yes, we've got until your end of the day.
In Australia. I might even give you more than one if you're really keen. So basically, you can pay in installments, because I know in this current climate asking someone to part with all that money can feel difficult. But I also say, when you break down the number of hours and teaching hours and coaching that happens, you're basically paying about $15 an hour, 15 to 18 bucks, and normally it's 150 an hour. So it's a really lovely way to learn a lot over this.
I'll tell you what, we are actually just in the final couple of weeks of the financial year here in Australia. So I think if anybody's watching this and likes the idea, which I think they should, because it sounds amazing, but get it spent in the next 2 weeks, because then it's out of, a lot of organizations have budgets that they need to get spent by the end of June, so it's good timing.
There you go. Yeah, so there's going to be no more than 6 per cohort. We've almost filled the first cohort up, and if the team want to come together and fill up their own cohort, they can. But there's I'll take you through everything from mindset to planning, because if you don't, and it's not talking about it, it's doing it. Every I'm going to be giving you examples of how to do things and then actually doing them with you. But in addition, we look at image, we look at preparation, because again, if you've got a plan but you haven't prepared things, like you don't know in your bag that 3 weeks before where you've put your lipstick or your antibacterial wipes or a bottle of water, you need to know exactly where you're going to put those things. And it sounds really like minor, but honestly, I've been to events before where they haven't provided water, and you need to make sure that you have absolutely everything down to your own clicker in case the PowerPoint doesn't work. And then an opportunity to practice. So in each cohort, every single week, you'll be practicing something. So it could be an elevator pitch, it could be a speech you want to do, and I'll be giving you feedback. So in addition to the Wednesday night, well, for us, it's Wednesday night, 8 p.m. So I think, I'm not sure, you have to tell me what time it is for you when it's 8 p.m.
I've got no idea. I can't do it in reverse.
Well, I've got one of those world clocks.
Yeah.
But, and everything's recorded too, so if you can't attend, then we can still catch up another time. But in addition to the Wednesday night, there's also one point in the week where I'll catch up with the group. We agree a time, and it's called a practice session. So you bring your talk to the session and we work on it. So it's not just like a lot of lives and training that's happening at the moment where people buy the package, they go away and do it on their own, and then can only ask questions on Facebook through comments, which for some people is great, but for something like public speaking and presenting, I want to work with people directly. So you really go away feeling equipped. It's like the ultimate toolkit. So there'll be 2 performances, one performance amongst your group where there'll be a Q&A, because again, lots of people find the Q&A part of presenting hard, but then there'll be an open public performance as well, where people will pay to watch your talk. And that really kind of ups the ante. You don't have to do it, but it's a really great way to practice overcoming those nerves. So the sooner we start to bring in those things that really make you edgy and nervous, the better, because then we can work out what resonates for you in terms of preparation, because you're going to be different to the next person.
I love it. I think it sounds brilliant. And even just this, like literally what have we been on for, half an hour conversation, you've already said some things to me that have just honed me in on what I need to do to get even better and to feel even more confident. And we haven't even maybe we should do this again. Should we do this again next week? Because I've still got heaps that I want to talk to you about. Because I wanted to mention the imposter syndrome as well, because I talked about this at my book launch last week, that like, who am I to write a book? And that kind of self-doubt that a lot of people, particularly women, have, and that we're constantly questioning ourselves and whether our message to the world is relevant. And we have this underlying doubt in ourselves.
Yeah. And who, you know, this whole thing, if I think about where I started, like before everyone takes it back to, oh, you trained as a barrister, but there was a life before that. You know, I was involved in every sport going under the sun at our school, every aspect of drama, every aspect of music. Our parents were really encouraging, and there was definitely something about those opportunities that shaped who I became. So yes, I did decide to become a barrister because I wanted to make a stand for the underdog, but I also chose not to stay in what I call legal land. I wanted to bring those skills to the community, and that's how I met you. It's like learning how to implement a lot of this stuff on the ground so it could go grassroots up and help empower people, ordinary people, not just people who are in high-powered work situations, but equally the other way around too. So if you can work with people right at the top, you can help influence very little bit in how the language they use, in the physicality and the body language that they present, you know, how they get their message across and how they think, and then doing it from the bottom up as well. So when those worlds meet, you don't have this disconnect. I mean, honestly, some of the language that people have used when I've done my training has been quite shocking. And I've thought, am I the first Asian person you've met? Because it's clearly something not quite right here. Or am I the first woman that you've actually found standing up to what you're saying here? Because if you listen to your words, you know, and challenging people a little bit, it's okay, don't be shocked. We don't live in a society, we live in a world where women do have to work a lot harder, and we do almost have this feeling of having to ask for permission. If I waited for permission to do a lot of the jobs that I've chosen to do, I would never have done any of them. And I've worked on some amazing stages as a performer, singing or speaking, because I've decided to go for it. And I've had to believe in myself and have people around me who've encouraged me along the way, including yourself. So I think, you know, when we talk about, I know, imposter syndrome, it's heartbreaking, but it's very, very prevalent and present for a lot of people. So
I'm glad you agree with that. Yeah. it's huge. It's a huge deal. And yeah, it was actually interesting with my webinar when we talked about this. So many people messaged me afterwards, and they actually said, "Gosh, how refreshing!" And again, they used words, and I don't like saying them, but from such an esteemed woman that does all this amazing stuff, that you're saying you feel imposter syndrome. And I'm like, yes, I do every day. I doubt it. And even though I've written a book, people are saying this is amazing and reading amazing reviews, I'm still like, oh no, they're going to catch me out. You know, who am I to say that? And yet, yes, it's a topic. It's a big topic. Let's do a separate chat one day on imposter syndrome. Less about, we need an hour every day, I reckon. I'm going to need to go because I've got to go. I don't know, Elsie might be watching. I've got to go. Oh, Max says we love an imposter syndrome. It's such a good foundation to work with. It's true, actually. It is, and it gives you that. I know, Max. It's that. It charges you, it lights that fire inside you to say, especially if you have got the kind of fight that we have in our bellies, that we're passionate and we're like, well, I don't care what you think. And so you do have that get up and go to fight the world.
Absolutely. But
so much.
Yeah, as I say, one of the beautiful things about knowing you and the work that you do is, yes, you have it, and it's good. It's a bit like when someone says I'm an alcoholic, or I'm experiencing mental health issues or depression. Imposter syndrome is no different. You know, you're saying there's something that I find challenging in my work life or my everyday life, and I want to nail it. I want to do something about it, and you're still shining your light in spite of that thing. And that's what being a great performer is, being able to take all of that stuff and turn it into something positive. So you're not saying it's not there, but for a moment you're saying, can you just shut up a minute? I've got a job to do. It's still there, but you've parked.
Those words you said right at the beginning about the TED talk and my nerves, and what was the first tip? It was about the message to the world, and the second one is that it's not about you. That's actually so good, because that takes away all of that imposter syndrome. That's like, well, actually, this isn't about me and my insecurities. I've got something I want to share with the world, and it's not about Becky Hirst. I'm just the messenger here, sharing the message. And so that's actually really good in relation to the imposter syndrome, because it's not about
remember you for doing a fantastic talk, but they'll remember the content of that message. There are some amazing TED Talks out there, and I'd really recommend people watch them. But it's a bit like when I was learning jazz, and people would say, "Oh, who are your favorite teachers?" And I'd just say, actually, some of my teachers are the greats. So Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, Nina Simone, and I'm going to copy what they've done by way of learning. Then I'm going to craft it into something where I'm making my own style and, deciding who I become when I step on stage. So when you copy something in jazz, it's called a lick, which I love.
Really?
I know. But it's that whole thing of, if you ask yourself, how many new ideas are there in the world? Really, how many new ideas are there? But it's about how you shine when you put that message across, and how you put that message across. And that's what people are going to remember. So you're totally capable of doing everything you want to do. And sometimes you just need a great coach to help get you there.
I see where you've gone there. Now, I have to go because it's bedtime here for my children, and I promised them I'd be back down at the house to tuck them in. But let's do this again. Look, we're going to put all the details of Aneesa's course and stuff in the comments. What do my kids say? Subscribe below. They say that on everything. Whenever they're mucking about, that's what they do on YouTube. Subscribe below. Details in the comments. So I'll do that, because I would pay $1 million if I had $1 million to spend an hour with you, Aneesa Chaudhry. You're just amazing. I miss you so much. I wish you're a bit like, though, again, my friend Wendy, I always say to her, it's a good job you're in Vancouver, Wendy, because if we lived in the same town, like, we would just, I don't know what would happen to the world. It would just be amazing. So it's probably good that we're kept apart, Aneesa, by this 10,000 mile distance.
For now.
Until now.
So good to see you.
So good to see you too. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I don't know how to end this now. What do? I just hit end.
Stop.
All right. I love you lots. Mwah. Good luck with the course. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for watching. See ya.